Let me ask you a question. A real, honest question. Is this movie worth $1 billion? No, absolutely not. No movie is worth that amount of money, good or bad. But that don't mean it's a bad film. And yes, as you can tell by my setup, we are going to talk about the new Super Mario Bros. Movie. And if you want to see more reviews like this, click the subscribe button, hit that bell notification, and make sure you keep up to date for what I'm going to do next. And now, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to take a look at the new Super Mario Bros. Movie. Let's play! The anticipation over this movie went something like this. At the time that I'm recording this, it is a phenomenon. It is the most anticipated movie of the year. A brand new Super Mario Bros. Movie 30 years after the original film came out. The original Super Mario Bros. Movie, released in 1993, as I covered before, was a horribly flawed good time. While it's not a good representation of the Mario games, they tried. They did what they could under the circumstances. While the film got mixed reactions from us, the response was the same. The movie didn't look nor sound like the Mario games. And yes, I did get a hold of the Umbrella Entertainment release. Shout out to the Super Mario Bros. Movie archive. But now, here we are 30 years later, and we have a brand new Mario movie. One that is faithful to the games, and one that will make many Mario fans happy. One that serves as a proper adaptation of a well-known Super Mario franchise. One that has been going on for almost 40 years. The first thing to note is that this film was made by Illumination. This is both a good thing and a bad thing. First, the good. Illumination has been responsible for some pretty decent films, including the Despicable Me trilogy, as well as the 2 Secret Life of Pets movies. The bad news is that it's Illumination. They have been responsible for exploiting the Minions to an absurd degree with their over-reliance on merchandise. Just make it snuff! Made 2 bad Dr. Seuss films for Lorax and the Grinch, and have been responsible for some other mediocre films like Sane and Hop. So, I was hoping that some other studio would do it, but no, Illumination's doing it. But from what I had seen from the trailers and stuff, it looked rather promising. As of now, it has become a phenomenon. Critics might have been mixed, but the audience loved it. How do I feel about the movie? Now that I have seen it, Dennis and I saw it the second week it came out, so this is a little bit belated, but I wanted to share my thoughts out as soon as possible. Sorry about the wait, but here it is. In the words of Mario himself, let's go! The opening of the film is the same thing as what you saw in the teaser trailer, where Bowser invades the Snow Kingdom led by a penguin tribe. It's a good opening. It establishes who the threat is, what's at stake, and where we are. Not to mention the animation is the best Illumination film I've seen since Secret Life of Pets, where it makes you think it's not an Illumination film. Not only that, but the suspense on this scene is really excellent. It shows Bowser who he is, a domineering tyrant who will invade any kingdom just to get a hold of one thing. In this case, it's the superstar. The next thing we see is the Mario Bros.' introduction.
We're the Mario Brothers, and plumbing's a game. We're not like the others who get all the fame.
So let me get this straight. You not only modeled the scene after the Super Mario Bros. Super Show intro,
If your sick is in trouble, you can call us on the double. We're faster than the others, you'll be hooked on the brothers.
but you are also referencing the original Super Mario Bros. Movie. You know what that means? Nintendo forgave the original Mario movie. What are you, Nintendo? You're like this weird combination of making people happy and angry at the same time. And here we have Mario and Luigi, voiced by Chris Pratt and Charlie Day. And no, I had no problem with Chris Pratt being Mario. If you were so concerned about Chris Pratt being Mario, then your expectations were in the wrong place. I think he was fine. I didn't have much of an issue with him. As long as you're able to get the mannerisms and the character down, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with the casting choice. Now, to be fair though, nobody can replace Charles Martinet. Nobody can. But then again, before that, we didn't have a definitive Mario, the most notable ones being Will Albano and Bob Hoskins. Nobody can replace Charles Martinet, nobody can. In fact, he is in the movie in little cameo parts here and there. Could Martinet's voice translate to film? It's possible, sure. I'm not entirely sure if it could, and I don't know who Charlie Day is outside of a Lego movie, but he was pretty good as Luigi, so no, I had no issues with the casting choices of Mario and Luigi. The next thing we see is the Mario Brothers' family, which is weird because I think the only reason why this is here is because this is Illumination and they have to have some other humans to interact with outside of Mario, Luigi, and Peach. I'm not entirely sure why they're here. There is only one reason I can think of as to why this scene is significant, but I'll get back to that later. So Mario and Luigi get separated after going through a mysterious pipe, which we Mario fans know as the warp pipe. How they ended up there was because they were checking out a pipe that was overflowing on the streets of Brooklyn, and they found a series of pipes that weren't there before. Luigi ended up in the Dark Lands, which is owned by Bowser, and Mario ended up in the Mushroom Kingdom. So while Mario is trying to rescue him, at the same time, Princess Peach is on her way to talk to the leader of a jungle kingdom named Cranky Kong to let him borrow their army to defeat Bowser, and Mario accidentally runs into her. Both of them, along with Toad, set off to find both of them. Peach is voiced by Anya Taylor-Joy, and some people were complaining she is a leader and a fighter rather than a damsel in distress like in the games. But here's the thing, this decision was not because of some woke thing. She did this before. In the Super Mario Adventures comics, she wasn't just a princess who led a country with love and compassion, but she also had a backbone. She, in many instances in the comics, waged a one-woman war against Bowser and his minions, and most of the fighting she did herself. And when Bowser actually tried to propose to Peach at several times in the comics, she was like, hell no, and fought him all by herself. I wonder if people forgot about these comics because hardly anyone seems to be talking about them. And yes, she does get kidnapped later in the film, but that's only after she warned the Mushroom people to get out of the city while you can because Bowser's coming, and this is only after Bowser threatened to destroy her town if she didn't marry him. But by the time that all of this happens, you got to know who Princess Peach was as a character, as a princess, and as a fighter.
Princess Peach, whoever is playing Princess Peach, she doesn't look exactly like her in my opinion. Princess Peach did a pretty good job as not damsel in distress this time instead of Luigi this time, so that's kind of brand new. They kind of did it like that. Instead of Princess Peach getting captured by Bowser every single time, they kind of switched it up a little bit. It was Luigi gets captured. That's actually kind of brand new.
So I do like the fact on how Mario and Luigi and how they always still maintain that bond when it comes to the relationship, and how you see Luigi when he was captured, on how he misses.
Why? Because we've never been apart for that long.
Yeah, Mario and Luigi, on how they always do have their backs for each other, no matter what.
I think this is a better Mario Bros. Relationship than the original movie. Back to the plot. Let's talk about Bowser for a minute. Bowser is a domineering force in the games. His physique, his obsession with taking over Mushroom Kingdom, and his obsession with Princess Peach, and how he plans his moves are incredibly fascinating. Yes, his plans always fail, and he's very misguided as to how he executes his plans, but yet he manages to be an interesting villain nonetheless. And here he is on the big screen, for real this time, and his towering might and fierce determination should be reflected in the film. He does not have an airship like in Mario 3 or Super Mario Galaxy, and he doesn't have a series of castles like in the games either. In this film, he has an island. A floating island. Complete with seas of lava, a floating face, and anchors in the shape of mines. This is awesome. This is exactly what I expected out of a Super Mario Bros. Movie. It showcases Bowser's tyrannical might on the big screen, and it works. He wants to marry Princess Peach. Yes, that's his plan. Marrying Princess Peach. But believe it or not, there actually is way more to it than that. He does this by stealing the Superstar, and he is going to use it to not only propose to Peach, but also to become the most powerful force in the 7 worlds. If she declines, Bowser will use the star to destroy the Mushroom Kingdom and then the other worlds. He already took over 2 worlds and kept the inhabitants in a dungeon, and Luigi is caught in the middle of it. When Luigi is interrogated by Bowser, and when he asks him, does he know who his mustache guy is, and does he love princesses, it shows 2 things. 1, how Luigi is caught in a situation he can't get out of, and 2, how determined Bowser is to win Peach's heart no matter what cost. Bowser believes that Mario is falling in love with her, even though Mario hasn't even thought about being in love with her yet. That's his plan. Now, he tried it before in Super Mario Odyssey. In fact, he's wearing the same wedding outfit from that game as well. His obsession with Princess Peach has become a common theme in the game, so it only makes sense for that theme to be translated to film somehow. To carry out his plan, he's assisted by a wizard named Kamek, who has appeared in a variety of Mario games, including Mario Party, and his team of Goombas, Koopa Turtles, and Rockatoos, and his spiked turtles, which are called Spikies, all of which are from the games. On the hero side, we have Toad as the royal sidekick, and Donkey Kong, whose world exists in the same world as the Mushroom Kingdom. It's weird that Donkey Kong is even here at all, because outside of the original Donkey Kong, Mario and Donkey Kong have been relatively separate from one another, except an occasional team-up in the Mario Kart and Super Smash Bros. Series. And here they are merging into one to defeat Bowser. It's an interesting setup, to say the least. One character outside of a Penguin King who's exclusive to the movie is a blue shell Koopa Turtle. You know the blue shell is from the Mario Kart games that eliminates anyone who's in first place, including you? That's this character. I want to mention that I heard through the grapevine that the film wasn't in-depth enough. The plot is not interesting. This movie needs to be more in-depth. There needs to be more story. I wonder if the people who are saying that have ever played the games before. For those of you who haven't, let me give you a brief summary of the games, and hopefully you'll understand what I'm talking about. Super Mario Bros. Mario has to rescue Princess Peach from Bowser, and has to go through 8 worlds of Goombas, Bullet Bills, and Koopa Turtles to rescue her. Super Mario Bros. 3, same thing. Super Mario 64. Mario has to rescue Princess Peach from Bowser, who has hidden her inside her own castle. Her castle is the hub where each door leads to a new environment. Super Mario Sunshine. Mario has to clean up the Final Plaza after being accused of graffitiing the whole city when he didn't do so, and has to rescue Princess Peach at the same time, who was taken away by someone who looks like Mario. Super Mario Galaxy. Mario has to save all the Shine Stars in order to rescue Peach from Bowser, who wants to use the Shine Stars to rule the universe. The bottom line is that the Mario games were never in depth with their plots. They were never three-dimensional with their storylines. In a way, that's what makes them so appealing. Their simplicity. They have plot lines and characters that everyone can get behind. Not only that, but you don't need long explanations to describe their characters. If you want thorough storylines, play Witcher 3, Wild Hunt, or Last of Us. I guarantee you'll have plenty of story details to talk about. The only depth they gave us are 2 things. One is that Mario is trying to prove to his father that he's worth something because his father didn't like his plumbing business that they just started. He believes that he's taking Luigi down with him, downward to failure. Fortunately, it only comes up twice in the whole movie and they're very brief moments. The second is that Mario doesn't like mushrooms. The very thing that gives Mario his strength, and he doesn't like mushrooms. In fact, when he first lands in the Mushroom Kingdom, he is freaking out because he cannot believe what he's seen. Again, origin story. It's interesting how 1 minute Mario's freaking out over seeing Toad and all the other mushrooms everywhere, the mushroom people, and floating blocks that are just randomly there, to him being okay with what he's seeing because he just wants to rescue his brother and get out as fast as possible. There's a training sequence with Mario and Peach, and the training course only appears once in the film and never shows up again. Am I the only one who finds it weird how there's a training course that Peach has in the middle of a Mushroom Kingdom that's reminiscent of something in Bowser's castle, and yet it never comes up again? It's a good sequence, but where was it going? Where was it leading? Come on, there's gotta be something here. Also, they mentioned the mechanics of the games, which is that if you have a power-up and you get hit, you lose that ability. That's a good idea, reminding people of how the games work for those who never played the Mario games before. We were watching this movie and I was just thinking to myself, I'm actually enjoying an Illumination movie. But this is like the 3rd Illumination movie I liked. Is this movie faithful to the games? Without question, yes. This movie is very faithful to the games, 100%. But how many elements from the games did they use for the movie? Well, it's a long laundry list of elements. In the sewer scene where the Mario Brothers investigate and come across a warp pipe, we have a reference to the original Mario Bros. Arcade game. When the Mario Bros. Are running around the construction site, a recreation of Super Mario Bros. World 1-1 is present. Match up the shots and the resemblance is very clear. And in the same shot, you see the sign? That is a reference to the Game & Watch game Mario's Cement Factory. Remember Luigi's Mansion? You know, Luigi's Mansion? That game gets a spotlight in this scene with Luigi in the haunted forest called the Darklands, complete with dry bones, who are surprisingly scary, and Shy Guys from Super Mario Bros. 2. Yes, they actually made them scary too somehow. Ruma from the Mario Galaxy games can be seen briefly in a prison scene where he's talking about them being doomed and destroyed and everyone is annoyed with him. Was he ever like that in the games? No, he wasn't, so I found this whole thing really bizarre. In the scene where Mario fights Donkey Kong, the first screen of the original arcade game makes an appearance. Not only that, but references to the Super Smash Bros. Series are visible not just in this scene, but other scenes as well. The Jungle Kingdom is a reference to the Donkey Kong universe, particularly Donkey Kong Country and Donkey Kong 64. Cranky Kong is one of the main supporting characters. Not only that, but Diddy Kong makes cameos. Speaking of which, Pauline is in the movie too, but I won't say where. Mario's original name Jumpman makes a cameo, as well as the original Donkey Kong arcade cabinet. The power-ups you recognize are here, including the Power-Up Mushroom, the Tanuki suit, the Fire Flower, and the Cat suit from Super Mario 3D World to name a few. Also, the Ice Flower, the Superstar, and the Mini Mushroom are present. The Bullet Bills are identifiable, as well as the Cheep Cheeps. On a side note, this moment in the film has a similar layout to World 2-3 from the original Super Mario Bros. And the squid from all the games is here too. All of Bowser's henchmen join the party, including Koopa Turtles, Goombas, Spikies, and Kamek make up the cast. Look closely in this shot during the training course scene, and you can see a Mario 2 reference. In the scene where we come across Mushroom Kingdom for the first time, Peach's Castle resembles Peach's Castle from Super Mario 64. There are 5 other worlds that were from the games that are in the movie, including Baam Battlefield from Mario 64, Tostarena Town from Super Mario Odyssey, Rocky Mountain Mines from New Super Mario Bros. U. In fact, the Clear Pipes are from that game as well, Super Mario Bros. World 2, and Bowser's Castle, which was in all of the games. Even some of the characters from those games make cameo appearances. Spike from the NES game Wrecking Crew makes a cameo as the Mario Bros.' original boss who puts him down. Several sound bites from the games can be heard on various occasions throughout the film, like the coin block sound effect, the pipe sound effect, Donkey Kong's defeat soundbite from the Donkey Kong arcade game, as well as others. The music cues from the games are here as well. Brian Tyler, along with Koji Kondo, recreated the themes from the series beautifully. Here is just a small sampling. And that's just the end credit sequence. I didn't even mention all the other music cues and references from the games, including the original Super Mario Bros., Super Mario Bros. 3, Super Mario Sunshine, Super Mario Galaxy, Super Mario 3D Land, Mario 64, Super Mario World, the Mario Kart series, the original Mario Party game, and Bowser's Fury. And let's not forget the DK rap from Donkey Kong 64 is here as well.
Get on with it.
Yes, get on with it!
The Mario Kart series gets its own spotlight with the Rainbow Road sequence. And did you know that the cars and motorcycles are not just from Mario Kart Wii, but also Mario Kart 7 and 8? And that the Rainbow Road sequence was modeled after Mario Kart 8?
Get on with it!
The point I am trying to make is that every single visual, reference, music cue, Easter egg, everything from the games are here and accounted for. I didn't even mention all of them. There is a Mario Wiki article that describes every single reference, visual, and sound cue and Easter egg from the games that's in the movie. I will link you to the full article in the description below so you can get a better look at it. Warning, major spoilers. Unfortunately, Yoshi decided to not join the party. Instead, he's in the post-credits scene as an egg. Actually, it's funny. When this movie premiered, I was working the day it premiered, and when Yoshi came on, some guy literally jumped out of his seat and was like, "Yes! Yoshi!" People love Yoshi. Any Mario fan like myself can recognize all the Easter eggs and references from the games that are in the movie. But here's the thing that I've noticed with some people. What happens when you put in too many references? I have seen what happens when a movie puts too many references in their film, so much so that it ends up being distracting. Space Jam: A New Legacy has it the worst. Not only is the plot ridiculously predictable and uninspired, but the movie is constantly in your face. Not only is it throwing reference after reference in your face, and not only is it loud and annoying, it's all forced and it never lets up. And when you get to the climax, which takes place in a virtual basketball game, it not only throws in more Warner Brothers film and TV references, as well as other films and shows like Iron Giant, Hanna-Barbera, King Kong, and DC, to name a few, but they cram in so many characters in the same sequence that you're not focusing on the plot anymore. Instead, you're just trying to see how many references they crammed into the background of the background. Not to mention the uncanny moments that make you cringe.
Well, that happened.
Super Mario Bros. Doesn't have that problem. It celebrates Mario's history while simultaneously trying to establish a film series out of this film. I think when it comes to getting everything we recognize from the games, they got it right with flying colors. While some might see it as a bad thing, that the film is nothing more than a spot for reference film, and while some might find it a distraction from the actual story, in this case, so many people have played the Mario games and are able to identify with the games that the references are a reminder of Mario's long history.
And there's a proper way on how to use fan service, but at the same time, you don't want to rely it. You don't want to use it as a reliance for storytelling.
If all you care about is just adding in references and cameos and stuff, then you're not really telling a story. You're just kind of saying, here's his cameo, here's his cameo, here's his reference, here's his reference. It's like, I actually liked this movie. So, one more time, as a refresher, let's talk about all the references that are in the original Mario movie and let's compare. Bowser is named King Koopa and is a human. The Mushroom Kingdom got turned into Dino Haddon. Yoshi is a generic dinosaur. Toad is a human who gets turned into a Goomba. Goombas are 5-foot-tall lumbering thugs. Bertha is a human who's in 2 scenes. Iggy, one of Bowser's sons, and Spike, a random enemy from Mario 3, are cousins who work for Koopa. Sorry about that error in the original review. Peach was replaced by Daisy. The arms are recognizable, and the fungus turned king is a reference to one of the kings in Mario 3. But there are more references I forgot to mention in my original review. Floms, those rock things that crush you, and the Goomba boot from Mario 3 got turned into rocket-powered boots that are powered by bullet bills. These guys are debatably Shy Guys. I'm not kidding, look this up. The climax is a reference to not only Super Mario World, but also the original Super Mario Bros. And other references to minor enemies from the games like Boom Boom and the Hammer Brothers appear in the distance as signs. And the Wigglers are reduced to a sign advertising a drink known as the Wiggler. The point is, that was not a good representation of the games. This is. Now, being able to identify something from the games and recognize it is one thing. It's another to enjoy the movie as a whole. That's where it gets a little tricky. And to be 100% honest with you, I actually liked this movie. I actually did. However, when you put them all together and try to tell a narrative, that's when the problems slowly start to emerge. The biggest problem of this movie is the pacing. The film breezes by incredibly fast. It's only an hour and a half.
The scenes move scene
because the thing is, it's not a long film, and plus they want to make a Super Mario movie that is much more authentic. If they took a long time, it could be dragged. Think about it this way. If they dragged on a scene for too long, it could be kind of boring. Sometimes it can be boring. Think about it. If it drags too long, it could be bad. So that's the reason why they might have not done it like that. Dragging a scene doesn't make any sense when make a movie kind of bad. Dragging a scene sometimes could be okay. Since it's a Mario movie, it's acceptable. But if they drag it too long in a scene, it could be really horrible. See what I'm trying to tell you?
So in other words, they played it safe.
Yes.
There could have been a few added scenes with Mario and Peach, Mario and Donkey Kong, or Bowser and why he loves Princess Peach so much. These scenes could have helped the movie. They could have worked. Not only would they smoothen out the pacing, but they also would not ruin the characters and their personalities at all. This is an origin story as to how the Mario Brothers became residents of the Mushroom Kingdom. I get that. But this is at least a great start. I had no issue with the cast choices. Jack Black is the best Bowser ever. He is able to blend threatening, tyrannical monster and desperate romantic at the same time. The rest of the character personalities are here and accounted for. Mario is brave, Luigi is the neurotic fraidy cat, Peach is the leader, and Toad is the loyal sidekick, who is nicely played by an unrecognizable Keegan-Michael Key. Donkey Kong is the show-off, well played by Seth Rogen, which has a mini rivalry of Mario, which is a reference to the Mario vs. Donkey Kong games, which I never played those. Oh, but how could I forget? Bowser sings. Don't worry, it's a good number. It's called Peaches, and it's sung twice in the film, and it verbalizes Bowser's love for Peach. But let's be honest, the only reason this is here is because of Jack Black. Jack Black is the only person who can get away with it. If Dennis Hopper from the original Mario movie did something like this, it would come off as hilariously awful.
I'll make you mine.
This is Illumination. Like, I kind of know Illumination kind of has this habit, like, when it comes to their movies. Like, it's that they would often use, like, a soundtrack, like, from a movie, or at least have like, the games, the classic themes and all that stuff. At least they didn't, like, felt like they were not, like, trying to, like, have a mainline soundtrack that they're, like, trying to push, or when it comes to their marketing.
It's nice that we get to see what the Mushroom Kingdom is like in full. Toads running around with their own shops, pipe mazes, and good nature, yet they are also aware of how vulnerable they are because, well, they're cute. At least they weren't distracting. And yes, there actually was one moment in the film where one of the toads say, "Princess? Princess is in another castle." There were a few story issues I had. For example, part where Peach meets up with Cranky Kong and asks him to lend him his army to defeat Bowser, but Cranky Kong mentions the fact that they have a cart-making factory that they're willing to share, but only if Mario defeats Donkey Kong. Let me get this straight. You're telling me that Cranky Kong prior to the scene never allowed the Mushroom Kingdom access to their card-making technology, and the only way that they would allow them to use that technology is if he allows somebody to defeat his own son? How come they haven't shared their card-making technology with Mushroom Kingdom at all? Why haven't they allowed him to use this card-making technology? They would have defeated Bowser years ago if Cranky Kong allowed him that technology. Why would they keep it secret? Why did they keep it hidden for so long? And don't get me wrong, the Mario Kart sequence is great. It's nice that they actually chose the Rainbow Road track for the scene because Rainbow Road is easily the best track in the whole series. I'm not saying the sequence is bad, I'm saying that the setup was weak. And how did the Koopa Turtles get their own carts as well? Again, this would have helped if the pacing was a little better. And in case any of you were wondering how the Rainbow Road got there, how long it's been sitting in the Mushroom Kingdom, and why it's even there in the first place, it's never explained. But again, it would have helped if the pacing and setup was more established. And how about the final battle? Is it similar to one of the classic games or one of the newer ones? Without giving too much away, I'm gonna say it's like a cross between Mario 64, Super Smash Bros., and one of the newer games. My guess is that it's modeled after Super Mario Odyssey because it took place in some real-world locations. And not only that, but it involved Mario, Peach, Luigi, Donkey Kong, Bowser, and taking place on the streets of Brooklyn, New York.
It's like a big concern when it comes to Illumination, but still not perfect by any means. Pacing could use a bit of work.
I've been playing Mario for so long that I kind of just knew what was going to happen. But if somebody had never played Mario before, I think they would actually be interested in what's going on. So overall, I would give a Mario movie... Let's see, I gave the original Mario movie a 6. I'm gonna give this an 8 out of 10. It's a pretty good movie. The only reason why it's an 8 and not a 9 is because it could have been... It breezed by kind of quickly. I mean, I understand the games didn't really have much story. They were simple and they worked. But at the very least, there could have been a couple more scenes between Mario and Peach, Mario and Donkey Kong, or Bowser and his obsession with Princess Peach. If they could have extended those scenes just a little longer, I think it would have been amazing. But for what it is, it's a really good start. And I'm hoping that with the sequel, we're going to go bigger, we're going to do more. We had a good movie.
For me, this is a really hard one. I mean, as I mentioned, it's the pacing. And even though, as I mentioned, as much as I do appreciate that it is very faithful to the games, as well as the animation is really good, and I do like that the aesthetics are very faithful, art design that is as seen in the current Mario games, but I do feel that the problem with that is that sometimes the humor, may not always, hit, home, as well as the fact that it kind of, at times, might, uses relies maybe a bit too much on its Easter eggs, in a way to tell its story at times. I would say it's more around either a 7 or a 7.5. I mean, it's decent. It definitely is a much better Mario movie than the 1993 live-action one.
I agree with that.
And being that it's from Illumination, given that that's the main concern I do have, and considering that Illumination in particular kind of doesn't have anything noteworthy aside from Despicable Me.
Secret Life of Pets, that's a good one. I mean, yeah, it wasn't the most original of his plot, doing the whole Toy Story thing, but it was a cute movie, and I think there's a little bit more substance than people gave it credit for. This movie's kind of the same thing. It's kind of in the same ballpark as Secret Life of Pets, except the difference is that we had to get to know them over the course of 2 movies. Whereas with Mario, we know who everybody is. Yeah. So we don't really need any further development on them necessarily. We don't need elaborate explanations or added things to her character. This is stupid stuff that Disney's doing with her live action remakes.
It's fun to watch. It was funny. It's oh damn. Mario. Funny, everything was hilarious. I could see Diddy Kong, Donkey Kong. Oh my god, Donkey Kong, Diddy Kong. Yes. They have so many resources they can use. Tons of resources. If Illumination works on it really well, every single movie could be really well. If it takes with love and care, how they did with this film. First one they did with love and care. With the sequel, they continue onwards. They can make really well done with the sets. The new sequel will be more improved upon. There's another universe or so, like a Super Sunshine Kingdom, where the world is filled with full of ink. As caused with the silver dude, weird guy, or whatever his name was, evil Mario guy, that caused a weird ink catastrophe. I don't want to watch that.
I find it funny how for 30 years we were complaining that there wasn't a new Mario movie, and now that we have one, we're still complaining about it. We're still saying that it could have been better. We're still saying it could have been more deep. This is just proof that no matter how hard you try to please the fans, there's always going to be that one person who's not going to like what you do. And the only thing you can do is just do the best you can. This movie is what we've waited for. We wanted a movie that represented the games faithfully. We wanted a movie that worked. We wanted a Mario movie that we can identify with. And this is a good start. Did it have flaws? Sure. I give this movie an 8 out of 10. It's the Mario movie that we've all waited for. And my hope is that Nintendo and Illumination will take what they've learned from this movie and make it better. Somehow making it bigger and more interesting. The fact that we waited 30 years for this, and now that we have it, is good. And yes, I will say that I do recommend it. What'd you think of the original Mario movie? Oh, you mean the one with Dennis Hopper and Bob Hoskins? It's not the worst I've ever seen. But it's not that great either. It's just okay. It doesn't look nor sound anything like the Mario games whatsoever. What do you think of the new Mario movie? You know what? It did its job. You know, for what it tried to do, at the very least, they made it. They made a new Mario movie that actually looks and sounds like the games. It was great.